Good morning. Welcome to our June 19th Commissioners meeting. Hope everyone had a happy Father's Day yesterday. There are Title VI forms on the back table. If you would like to fill one out, you can turn that in at the auditor's office. If you'd all stand, I'll lead us in the pledge, followed by a prayer. Pastor Greg read. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Greg?
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful for another day of life, grateful for another day to live in such a wonderful community. And Lord, as we gather to do the business of this community, Lord, we just ask that your Spirit move in and throughout the decisions that are made. Whether we agree with them or not, let them be decisions that you would make. And Lord, I just lift up each of the commissioners, that you give them the wisdom and the knowledge and the things that they need to make decisions based on your glory. Lord, we love you, we thank you, and it's in your Son, Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Greg. Minutes. Any questions, changes, additions?
Nothing for me.
I didn't see any. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
And I'll concur. Claims.
I saw again that an office is asking us to pay for coffee out of county general. I don't have the information. I had reached out to that department head, but it's my position again that we aren't paying for personal consumption coffee out of county general. So that's an issue that I have with the claims. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
I saw some office decorations. I didn't know when I had my office, all our decorations we paid for out of pocket. And a lot of the claims have very general notes in them. And they just say Amazon or miscellaneous to them. So I would like to make sure that we're trying to get better descriptions on some of those. Amazon can be anything. To be able to review those and see what they are is difficult like that. But I didn't know what the commissioner's thoughts were on the office decorations as a whole going out.
I think that question's been raised in the past, and we kind of frowned on it.
I'm trying to see, I had something else highlighted.
Christie, I have a question on the paid without appropriations. I've not seen that before.
In payroll?
No, on the claims.
Oh, on our claims.
There's several throughout here.
Certain things are allowed to come out of there if it's any type of state called meetings. Some of the extra funds, I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, some of the extra funds they pay from there, like prosecutors has, their incentive funds. We pay from there.
Okay.
Can you update me on the policy for meal reimbursements? When they're allowed, when they're not allowed, what the circumstances are to make them allowed? We had
If
two
they're
meal
gone for more
reimbursements.
than, if they're gone for a whole day, it used to be, I think it changed, and the department head helped me here, it used to be like $27, I think, dollars a day. So if they were gone, if somebody's gone for a meeting and they're gone all day, they get that meal. They either get a meal reimbursement or they get just the per diem for the day.
So if they were in town,
Not typically, unless they are out for some reason not typically, I guess, now that I think about it, shouldn't be.
because we had two meal reimbursements that appear to be, one's for sure a local establishment.
Yeah.
We had a third one that was just said meal reimbursements, but didn't state where the reimbursement, where the meal was had or any of the rest of the circumstances. So I don't know whether that's something you guys are reviewing before they go out. or whether they're just coming to us for the claims.
We try to catch anything that's not supposed to be by statute, but then there are some things that are more so your call. And policy, I guess.
So there's meals for election training and election day. That one I understand. It's described well, so I understand what that's for.
Yep.
There's just a general meal reimbursement. It came out of meals project income for probation.
Probation that's a grant, and the grant tells them, it breaks down what they can spend the money on.
Okay. We spoke of the office decorations already for the treasurer's office. Board of Health, lunch at Tree City Brew Company, and animal control at El Reparo.
I saw those two, and I did see those two.
So I think without any further clarification, hold off on those.
Anything else?
Check my other 2 places. No, the only other thing that I would ask is like when is to be more descriptive in the things. It says just Amazon. We're not sure what's being purchased there, so it's hard to understand whether that was a appropriate purchase or not.
We'll do that better for next time. I believe a lot of those where we just put Amazon is when it's the credit card. So the credit card is there for you to pull, to look at, but we'll do better
So
next
it would
time.
be in the claim?
Mm-hmm, and the credit card claims are all together.
Yep.
Okay. It might be able to find it there then.
This week's claims was a little rushed.
I understand.
Understand. Krista,
Yes.
we paid Christopher Burke, or you paid $1,671.25 for Christopher Burke for Nipro Glass. What's that?
It's drainage study, stormwater drainage study review.
Why is that our problem? Why don't they pay for that?
They do. They paid us back.
Yes, they do. So she gets the invoice, pays it. Is there a reason you pay it up front? Just
Well,
because of
because-
timing?
Yeah, timing.
And then they send us a check back, so I do
Okay,
know
so-
that's happened twice now.
Okay,
Where
so
we have gotten
we
the
get
check back.
reimbursed for it.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. You guys have anything else?
No.
That's it.
So you want to move to pay those claims with those questions? I'm assuming?
Yes.
All other claims you were talking about?
Just good.
Motion?
If you can, just highlight the ones that you want to claim, that you want to pull out
Okay.
and question.
Yep.
Yep, I make a motion to approve the claims minus the ones that we've questioned.
I'd second that.
All right, thanks. I do have a payroll for June the 9th. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Concur. All right, Todd.
What I have to report to the county is currently we're continuing to do sign maintenance. I did get the signs in for South Decatur Elementary. we'll be putting those up here in the next couple days. We're continuing to mow vegetation out there in the county with bushwhacker and also the bush hog. We're also running Durapatcher spot patching. Something gets called in, we go get it, or we got a certain road. We're running that. We're out spraying vegetation. Most of the vegetation we were spraying was on the bridges prior to us going in and doing our maintenance. I know Mark got a call about poison hemlock. Have we been spraying that? There's two different kinds of hemlock. There's the Queen Anne's lace, which is what we have here in Decatur County. The poison hemlock has a purple stem, and I have not seen any of that in my drivings around the county. So I think what we have here is that Queen Anne's lace. But in certain areas that it is bad, we have been spraying. Been doing the bridge maintenance still, doing some cleaning of the decks, doing some class 1 riprap, epoxy ejection, and grouting tie rod ends for our bridge inspection. One thing I need to bring up is, per our bridge inspectors, they are frowning upon cattle gates being fastened to the bridges. And I need, I need you guys to, how we want to handle that in the county. Some of them, we've talked to when we've been doing bridge maintenance. They've been pretty cool about it, okay, as long as it's not attached to the bridge. So we've given them some options on doing things, but there may be some out there in the county that may not like that. But the bridge inspectors say that cattle gate cannot be fastened to the bridge.
I think you just have to tell them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we can get, I mean, gotta get a permit to do a fence. It's not a permittable way to attach your fence to a bridge, right?
No, there's no
That's all
permits
about that.
required.
Yeah, and I think we just need to tell them, hey, you can't attach to the bridge. I mean, how are they to run lag bolts into it and anchor into concrete?
Some
Or?
of them there's what our guardrail hooks to, it's actually bolted into the beam, and they wired it, you know, a couple different places. I guess I wanted you to be aware in case somebody goes off kilter because they have to move that. Like I said, there's been a few of them that we've done already, and they've been good with it. So as long as it's not attached to the bridge, we're good with it. We've been doing final grade out there on some projects. Been also doing some spot patching on road cuts that we've done out there in the county. I know there's a few of those roads out there down by Wiseman's that got done, 1,000 west, 200 south. There's several of them that folks went out and done boards on that. I talked to you guys about the traffic counts on 150 West. Okay, I'll dig into that more to find out what is the difference in a traffic study and a road count. From my understanding, road counts, they come out and put a thing across the road and it does all the traffic counts. That is different, I guess, from a road study. A road study is where you actually hire an engineering firm. There is a cost to that, to come in and give their recommendations to you all as commissioners, what we should post on that road. Did you guys have time to look through the civil column?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I brought it back after looking at it over the weekend.
Okay.
Yep, no issues.
Get approved for that.
Yep.
And that book actually goes back to the auditor's office.
Okay.
And then,
Do you need us to vote on that now? Or,
yeah, I'd like to.
okay.
Like I said, as far as renewal, they were good enough to renew. They're a pretty good pipe company.
Yep. And this was after that we had put out a request for bids and got no bids back.
Correct.
And they said that they would go ahead and authorize the same bids that they had given us last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say, I know we advertised it. I think they're supposed to be on that, but I think in the past, I think Mark has kind of also spearheaded that a little bit, kind of contacted more people so that they could do it. Being this my first year, I think that was kind of laxed on my part, but I'll take care of that for next year.
I'll make a motion, we approve the rollover of last year's bid for the pipes.
Yeah, I'd second that.
I'll concur.
Okay. And then the last thing I have on my agenda, I don't necessarily have to make this decision today, but is the road grader lease. The one company that we are a member of is called Sourcewell. And it is a government entity similar to the counties, but they actually, I just had a Teams meeting with this lady in Sourcewell. Mark Moore signed up for this back in 2007. He did multiple purchases in 2017, 2018, 2019 using Sourcewell. Sourcewell is our, you might say, liaison as far as advertising or bidding. They hold these companies to a certain standard and they have to discount. So I've got two different grader leases. One's from Caterpillar and one's from John Deere. Okay, and both of these have been run through Sourcewell. Caterpillar did show on their bid where they had to discount. The cost on this machine is $671,604. The discount by using Sourcewell was $201,481. So I was pleased that we are a member of that Sourcewell, just for the fact that I had them send me over a bid document from another county, and it was a 20-page document with the specs on this road grader. And I couldn't tell you the first thing about that road grader. I know it helps on gravel roads. I know it operates and does a lot of different things, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. So I'm glad that we have Sourcewell. We have a member ID. We can use it on fleet. We can use it on road grader stuff, on heavy equipment. We can use that on anything. So I'll leave this with you gentlemen, let you look over it. I'd like to get approval on that on the next commissioners meeting by the 3rd, if possible. I know Caterpillar is 12 to 16 months on a machine. John Deere has in stock. So, and John Deere was the lowest quote. So I don't know if that,
When's our lease up on our current ones?
yes,
When?
it's the end of the year,
End of the year.
November, I think.
And Todd, can you probably don't know right offhand, but can you tell me get me the hours on the current ones?
I can get you the hours.
Just like to know how many hours roughly we use in a year.
Okay. Well, I think we get 1,000 hours a year. I think if you go over that, there is a penalty, so much per hour. But I don't know what the hours are. I know we've had these machines for 9 years. But I will get that for you.
So just to be clear, were these bids that you had requested, or were these just bids from other counties? Where
These
other counties had?
Decatur County.
Sourcewell is a national bidding company that procures equipment for city and county entities.
So looks like a 3-year for the John Deere is 93,000. And a 4-year with CAT is 115,000 a year for 3 years and 140,000 stub payment. So 465,000. And the lease for the John Deere would be buy a 300,000 for 3 years. With a $203,000 purchase.
After the third year,
Yeah.
RV.
It looks like this would have well, the Caterpillar is this set up to where the stub payment is at the end would be our complete payoff and we would just own them outright then?
I'm sorry.
I don't think they can do
It's
it that
my
way.
understanding, it's broken into 3 payments.
3 payments
One
up.
payment per year.
Yeah, and it says a stub payment of
That'd be
$140,000.
the buyout, yeah.
So 3 years on the Cat at $115 with a $140 buyout.
Be $345.
And on the John Deere, it's $93,000 with a $203 buyout.
Do you know what the current buyout is on the Deere graders you have?
I was thinking those machines, I think it was 184.
The buyout after 9 years?
Well, I'd have to double check, but I thought I seen a number on it, 184.
I'd be real interested on that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if there's nothing wrong with them, I mean, I get what you'd said last time. There's some technology and stuff like that that can be advantageous to the operator. But with the discounted buyout prices that I'm seeing here for these machines, I'd be real interested to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Find out what we could purchase those for. Because typically the buyout, we lease equipment all the time, and typically the buyout is you're by far to even buy it, turn around and sell it. You can make a bunch of money on a trade or whatever. So
Okay.
to find out what the buyout is on those graders for us, and then I'd like to know how many hours on them.
Okay.
So just quick glancing at this, if we do the 9387 on a 3-year with a 203 buyout on the John Deere, puts the total price at $619,262. But on the Cat, it has a 3 annual payment of $115,274 with a stub payment of $148,80. If that's the buyout, that puts the Cat at $486,702. So the overall money for the Cat is less than the John Deere by
Healthy margin.
$125,000.
Yeah.
So while the 3 annual payments are higher, if you choose the buyout option at the end, you pay $125,000 less for the Caterpillar than you do for the West Side one.
And
If you're planning on buying it at the end.
Right.
there's something missing there because
Yeah.
typically Cat's 30% higher
Right.
than anybody else.
Yeah.
So that stub payment may not be the buyout. That may be some kind of a.
Right, yeah, just quick
Yeah.
glance, because it's all it shows. Sale price $438,205.
Gotta have an RV called a residual value someplace. There's a. Well, let's see, that's a balance.
And that's here. And on the Cat, you have an annual hours of 2,000. And I know you said last meeting they would use basically one machine until they hit the 1,000 and go to the other. So maybe one machine with 2,000 and buying out one machine is a better option. Having a new machine that's got the bells and whistles and an old machine that doesn't.
It just depends on how many hours we're actually putting on them
Right.
every year.
And what the buyout is on the current ones. Maybe we buy out one and keep an old machine and then look at a lease for the other one that we don't buy out. Have a new machine and an older machine.
Is there a necessity for having two? Having multiple?
We basically use those for, we do a couple different operations, grade roads, we do burning, so it might be out in different parts of the county, specifically when there's snow on the ground, and drifts are so big, you
Sure.
can't get a truck through. So south, north, would be the main purpose.
Okay. Yeah, I guess let's figure out if that actually is the buyout payment for the Caterpillar.
What the
And,
buyouts are on ours.
And the buyouts on
hours.
ours. And ours, yeah. And then we'll make that decision.
All right.
Because we probably don't need a fancy grader for busting snowdrifts. So if we get, instead of one new one, and keep one older one, maybe.
Okay. Joe, have anything else for me?
About those, you want that foundation, block foundation removed over to jail site?
I think we need to get that cleaned up a little bit and
Get Tim to look at the old jail site excavator, the block foundation for the pods. See if he thinks you guys can handle that. That looks like about a day job to,
Stuff need to be hauled off.
you can use it for riprap. Won't charge anything for it. Be an even trade,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's 4 block, I think, 5 block high.
there's some blocks in the middle.
Yeah. Just all the block needs to be removed down to the concrete footers. Don't bother the footers.
We need to do any final grading or anything?
You'll just have to, there's some stone in there, you'll have to push around, cover just slick it up so it's, doesn't look like mold's been in there.
Okay.
I'd gotten a call about 450 East down on 421 South, where I think the county had paved the first half or resurfaced the first half of 480 East off of 421, but the rest of 480 had not been resurfaced. They were inquiring if the county was going to do that. The rest of the resurfacing there on 480 down to, what was that? Down to 500 South, because they said it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So when they contacted me last night, so I haven't had a chance to go down there and look at it.
On the community crossing grant, that was a community crossing grant. And we needed just a little bit more to finish out our grant, and so that fit that scope.
Okay. So there's no plan at this point in time to go back and finish that last stretch there on 480 East?
Well, in our road program, we look at all those every year, so, I know this year, I don't think it was on there on this
Okay.
year. But we'll be looking at that again next year.
That works. That's all I had.
I got nothing.
Okay. Kenny.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Since our last meeting, I had 38 building inspections, 18 new permits and plan reviews, and 3 permit renewals. There's 1 red tag, stop work order, so there was remodeling without a permit. Property owner came in and acquired a remodel permit. Had 2 complaints about nuisance properties. One needs to get a hard date set on it. I will do that this week. So I decided how long to let him go. I'll need to talk to him. The second complaint was on an uninhabitable house in Letts. So drafted a letter and we sent it out last Friday. Friday morning, the Lake McCoy Committee met and we went over outlining plans for each department. And I will start by checking off the lawsuit list for compliance or non-compliance. And go from there. That's all I got.
What was the property that you need to get the date for?
That's the one in St. Aug.
Okay. The one with like the tires and the other vehicles and stuff like that?
He says he's gonna get a bobcat in there and clean it up, but the neighbor that's complaining called again and said it's been going on for 3, 4, 5 years. And he just keeps saying, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. That's the one Tony wanted me to put a hard date on.
Yep. Did you,
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Did you get a call about property down in Bernie as well?
I did.
Where are we at then on that one?
I went back through my paperwork and got all the letters that I sent.
Okay.
3 different properties in there. That first one, if you read the date at the top
Yeah.
left, and then look at the next one, the date at the top left, he's been sent several letters.
Okay.
And last time, there's a note in there too, that last time I sent him a letter, he talked to me and said that he was planning on building a garage when the county fixed the culvert and the water problem in his yard was wet with mosquitoes all week.
That's all been done.
I know. But I haven't gotten back with him to see if he's gonna actually build a garage. I did notice that he pulled a container in, one of those railroad containers. It's sitting in there. I don't know what the plan is for that.
So, did you go out and review the property then, since you were contacted here recently about it?
I went out there and I went straight to the complainee's house.
Mhm.
We stood on her porch and talked about the one she was worried about.
Okay. What's the course of action then going forward for you?
I need to talk to the guy, the one guy, and see if he's planning on building a garage to house his antique cars he doesn't want to get rid of.
Okay.
And the other one, there's a house that I think needs torn down. It's one of those letters in there. I just need to follow up a little bit better.
So in our meeting that we had with Kenny, just kind of pushing forward on some of Lake McCoy stuff, we talked about the importance of report writing and preparation. His reports will be kind of the basis of our abatements and court cases. So we talked about that and that. Also reviewing the ordinances for the county. Just kind of wanted to point out that the court costs endured through these abatements will go as part of the cleanup costs and get added to the tax liens. So that these actions ultimately end up falling still back onto the person who's in violation of ordinances through the tax lien process.
I'm spacing on the other property. Has anything happened with the other one that was down south?
Smith?
Yes.
I gathered all of my information on my files, every letter that I've sent, every picture that I took, and put them in Chad's mailbox. I called him and he said he wasn't gonna be able to touch it till he gets back this week, maybe tomorrow. So he said just put it in his mailbox, and that's what it's at.
I know that Patty is here.
Yeah, Patty.
Do you want to talk about anything with the properties that are around your house?
Well, I wish I would have kept things documented over the years. I didn't do it. I regret not keeping track of it. I didn't think it would take this long to get things done. Because I know people have been notified, they've been told to clean up, get things, but they don't do it. They always have excuses, they lie about everything. I just wish somebody would sit on them and get things done.
Just for clarification, which property are we speaking about? We're getting to
It's on 850 West.
Bernie, there's about 3 or 4 or 5 of them out there.
There's abandoned homes out there. I don't understand, what can be done, but people who own these properties, they need to get things done. I know I'm the only one here today, but I know there's other neighbors that are upset about it. I'm just the one that's here to gripe. And to me too, it just causes riffraff to come around too. These abandoned homes and the junk everywhere. And this guy who says he wants to build a garage and brought this big old container in there, he has antique cars in another building, but all he has out in the back are just junk. It's not antique cars. And, he just doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to get it cleaned up, get it taken care of. Everybody's tired of looking at it. You go out your front door, your back door, there's just junk everywhere. And there's another fellow out there too that has all these old cars around and needs to be cleaned up. He supposedly works for this Ruddleman lady in New Point area or something, I don't know. He just keeps dragging things onto the property.
Brian, do you know of or are familiar with the grants that are available to help property owners tear down their unsafe buildings to make them more attractive for investors or buyers to come into? I've heard kind of rumors for it, but I don't know or remember what the name of the actual program is.
You can have like slum and blight, usually that's through Okra has a slum and blight removal. Oftentimes that doesn't work necessarily with, as soon as the residents or a property, it usually has to do with a larger community development. That being said, I think there are, with ARPA funds, I think in Westport, you guys had some funds available for slum and blight removal. And then that you can set up funds within the county, set aside for that, even revolving kind of funds for that kind of thing. But yeah, as far as specific grants, you can put something like slum and blight removal into like a ready application, Ready 2.0 if we wanted to. Oprah would probably be the best, but usually that's associated with like a downtown or a whole neighborhood kind of situation. I'm not familiar with the property here where it's located.
Burning. So part of kind of my thing, our comprehensive plan stresses on trying to get housing back into our small communities. And as I drive through those small communities, I see these abandoned properties that are aging and need something done with, but I also understand the other side of having the money to come in and have those things teared down and removed is there. So I'd had several people kind of whisper into my ear that there was grant opportunities available for that. So
Through Oprah probably, and that would be something, I would talk to Mary McCartney and Cersei to see where that program stands, how much funding is available, because obviously, to take on something like that, there'd have to be again, I don't know, I'm not knowing the property, but in a hypothetical situation, if it was an abandoned house, like in Westport, some of them were partially burnt, or, to go in there and actually remove the house, especially if the property owner cannot take care of it, have him sign it over to the government or whatever entity, a community development organization that you want to set up, take the house down and then sell that lot to a developer for a rebuild or something. That is something that's been done in other communities.
Okay. That's the difficult part with the abandoned structures and the unsafe structures is there's a cost in removing them also, and sometimes it's difficult for the owners to find that. Sometimes it was their parents' house that, they've passed and they're sitting empty and they just don't have a way to get anything done with it. So I've been kind of quietly trying to find some ways to help those people in that process and to develop relationships with people who are interested in coming to put new homes on those. Building costs now are so high, nobody's really looking to put a lot of new homes up, so it's a unique time for some of that to get things happen, but it's something that I'm certainly looking to try to work on with our small communities and get Letts and Bernie and Milford and all those areas that have some houses in there that's bringing property values down, some of the nicer homes that are abandoned, try to find a way where everybody kind of wins, if we can figure out how to do that and make it a little better.
But the ones that have all their, as I call their junk around, they need to be told, this is what's gonna happen to you if you don't get this done. Because they just laugh it off, No one's done anything to me, and I'm just gonna keep doing what I wanna do.
Yep.
That's their attitude.
We understand.
Yep, we do.
I guess I'm just tired of it.
I appreciate you coming.
Okay.
So do we have a list of all of the houses down there that we need to get on with?
Pretty close.
Okay.
There's one person that owns a bunch of them, and he's been tearing it down, so I'm kind of leaving him alone because he's actually tearing it down.
Okay. All right, like I said before, start reports and logging stuff so that we've got good traction of where we're doing our jobs and the progress we're making, and then we'll keep moving from there. But we're definitely moving forward on these properties and trying to get some stuff done.
So what do you suggest? Should I throw another letter at him and turn it over to Chad, or?
Well, these letters are, we have a 2018 in August of 22, and so nothing had been followed up. So I would say send another letter at this point. I know that we're outside of the time frame that's on the letters already, but we're at like, what, 9-10 months now since the last letter was sent. I would say send another letter and then proceed the same way that we are with the other property.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think once they get a year old, we just start the process anew, and
Yeah.
and these ones that we've got 2 or 3 letters on their old, the time frame and the leniency that's going to be allowed through the process in the initial, I don't think is going to be the same as a new complaint, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to understand that there's going to be some teeth to some of this stuff, and we're going to have to figure it out.
Do you have pictures and other things from when you've been out here before?
I'll have to look.
Okay. I was just curious to see if, I mean, it's in the same condition, if things have grown, if things have shrunk, as far as different things that are around, collected in the yard or whatever. Yeah, so I'd say send another letter.
You put 30 days in there on those
Yep.
letters.
So, and the other thing that the commissioners will have to start looking for is when we go to abatement on these properties, we have to go out and actually take care of them themselves, and we'll have to find the funding to do that also. Because there'll be costs for the county to go out and remove these properties or take care of this themselves.
Yep.
So we've got to sit down and find those funds somewhere, make sure that we're spending them responsibly also. Recouping them through tax sales is the plan and the way that works, but that's not a long-term, short-term return on that, so we'll have to find some funding for that too.
Okay, got that covered. Sheriff, your turn.
Morning.
Last meeting, I presented the contract renewal and maintenance agreement with Accurate Controls. Here's a copy of which. You asked me to go back to Accurate and ask for a 10% discount rather than the 5% on the 3-year bronze plan. They politely declined. So I'm just asking for approval of the bronze plan for that 3-year agreement with Accurate Controls. You're working on budgeting it for next year and that year beyond. And the third page from the bottom is a second page.
Is that the same information that you provided before?
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Well, I appreciate you asking for the discount. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Concur.
Thank you. The medical contract, I'm going to ask to postpone. I was hoping to be prepared this morning to present that, but that has not worked, so we'll do that next meeting probably, or meeting after that. Last thing I have is seeking authorization to dispose of 2 vehicles, one of which is a 2014 Chevrolet Tahoe with 133,000 miles. We've been putting money in it, and we continue to put money into it. It's got an exhaust problem now. Second vehicle is a 2018 Ford Explorer with 149,000. Transmission just went out of it. Don Meyer wants $6,500 to put a rebuilt transmission into it. I don't think it's wise chasing good money with bad money, or bad money with good money. So I'm asking to dispose of both of those vehicles.
Where are you at as far as your fleet goes?
Well, that's going to be a work in progress for the next couple of years. Okay, we're trying to get back into a minimum of 5 vehicle rotation every year. Keeping the cars 4 years and getting rid of them at the $80,000 to $100,000 mark. And the Tahoes that we've sold so far, even with 120,000 miles, we've gotten good money back on. So that's our goal, is to keep them to no more than 100,000 and get rid of them and get some return on investment in that respect.
And the mileage estimate's strictly based off of just the return, right? The lower the miles, keeping them at 100,000, our rate of return for trade-ins and pet sales are
Correct.
higher.
Sheriff, I know I spoke with Enterprise. Did you guys have a serious sit-down with Enterprise over fleet
No,
management?
Mark from Enterprise has reached out to me.
They have not,
They
okay.
have
I was assured she would, but I will, right now they have 7 other counties doing their sheriff vehicles through fleet management, 4 and 5 year rotation. I don't know if that's, how long you guys been?
4.
I can't speak previously, but again, our plan is to 4 years.
Okay. I'll get in touch with her and have her reach out to you. I think it's worth at least discussion.
Absolutely.
more bids on the water softener?
No,
I assume that problem's not going away.
again, knock on wood, we haven't had any recent problems.
Okay.
Well, to address your request there to sell the vehicles, I don't have an issue with it. Do you guys?
I don't.
Okay.
Are you wanting to move forward with your water softener off just your one bid then, or are you?
Let me do a little more work on that first, please.
That's all I got.
Need a motion on these?
On the vehicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd move to approve the sale of those two vehicles.
One second.
I concur.
Do we need to do that for the contract as well, for the accurate controls, or?
Yes.
Okay, I'd move to approve the accurate controls.
Second.
I concur.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Miss Diane?
Good morning. Just wanted to let everyone know with tax collection that we collected over 24 million for the spring, which we normally take in more in the spring because people are paying both spring and fall. We then sent out courtesy letters to anyone that had back taxes, as well as properties that would be eligible for tax sale, to give them a chance to pay up before it gets certified to court by July 1 to avoid any more added penalties. So that's that. And then I know it's not council is usually give these numbers, but just to let you know that with investments, we have a $3 and $4 million CD. We also in Trust Indiana have over 29 million invested. The total just year to date on the interest is over 416,000. And then I know with the jail pods, we've earned, leaving that money in there, we've earned over 20,000 on the interest on that. And I believe with ARPA, there was a 1.5 and a 2.5. Those two came in with 144,000 interest for the year. And I believe that the ARPA, what they allotted to spend was over 473,000. So we still have some room to spend. That's all I have.
Do you have that in a document you can email to me?
Pardon?
Just can you email me that in a document?
I sure can.
Thank
I
you.
even have copies if you'd like that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Even better.
Krista?
Good morning. I have three ordinances for you today. The first one is 2022-24. John, Elizabeth, and David Robertson rezone 2.99 acres from an A1 to an A2 for construction of a single-family dwelling. Property's down by Baptist Youth Camp. There was an old house on the property. It got ready to fall down, so they took that one down. They're going to build one there, and then they split the property, and the other brother's going to build up on the top. So
All members that were present voted in favor of the old Richards Farm, right?
yeah, it's
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Then I have Dwayne Peters. He's wanting to split a property, rezone 2.99 acres, and sell that lot to build a single-family dwelling. This is ordinance 2023-9.
And all present approved. It also.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Concur.
And the third, 2023-6, Larry and Palma Sparks, requesting to rezone, it's approximately a half acre from R4 to B3, and this is in Clarksburg. It's the old bank. It was zoned R4 for whatever reason. It hasn't been a bank, but he wants to put a automobile sales office in the building. So he's just gonna have that as his office. And then across the street on the corner lot, he wants to sell cars and possibly put up a building in the future for automobile repairs. Or, he said primarily it would be for detailing vehicles that he buys at auction so he can get them out and sell them on that corner.
All present voted yes in favor of.
Is there anybody at the meeting from the
That was
Yeah.
exactly my question.
from the area?
Yes, there were surrounding property owners there, and nobody had any real concerns. They didn't know for sure what he was doing, so that's pretty much why they were there.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Concur.
That's all I have. Do you have anything for me?
Do you have any update on the water drainage board?
Drainage, no, I do not. Haven't really got any responses back from anyone.
What are you waiting on?
See if there's any more changes, and basically I've just dropped the ball because
Okay, when was the last time anything had been done with the water drainage board?
it's been about 6 weeks probably.
Okay. I mean, we're pulling up here on 6 months or so since I first started talking about this. What's your ETA on when we can actually get this done?
Oh. I'm saying middle of July, I'll have a final draft,
Okay.
the second meeting in July.
Okay. And then there was, at the last meeting, it was the discussion about the property in Milford. And I know you were asked to look into that a little bit more. What conclusions, recommendations did you come up with?
Oh, I didn't bring my list. However, the property in Milford, number one, our major concern is that after the meeting, we realized that a surrounding property owner believed that he owned lot 6, and the petitioner for the alley closures, their deed says they own part of lot 6. But the other property owner, his deed says he owns all of lot 6. So there was some confusion there in the deeds. I believe Mr. Carter's deed was written incorrectly by the attorney, and it should probably be fixed, but until that's fixed, I don't think that we should move forward with anything. You split it down the middle and it goes to the surrounding property owners, but I would prefer that there be verification on who actually owns that property.
So it's actually in the deed that Mr. Carter owns
All of
all of
6.
Block 6?
Yes. Now, the previous deed
Mm-hmm.
had written in pencil that it's part of lot 6, not all of it. But when it was, the new deed was written, it didn't say part of, it said all of. So that was one problem. And then I believe that we need locates for those alleys to make sure there's no, old telephone lines or any any easements that need to be in those. And then I also think that we should have the surrounding property owners. If Mr. Carter owns 6, then he should be aware that if this is closed, half of it's gonna go to him, and he's gonna owe taxes on it. Obviously, they're minimal, but he should be in agreement that the alley be closed. And there are 3 different property owners that should probably be in agreement that the alley be closed, since they are going to obtain half of the alley and then owe taxes on it.
Well, it sounds like the biggest issue is the deed issue.
Yeah, that's number 1 for sure.
So who clears that up?
The property owners will have to. Because their attorney was the one that made the error, so
They'll have to
they're
work
gonna
it
have
out.
to pursue that,
Adjust their deeds.
yes.
Okay.
Well, I make a motion, we table that discussion until the deeds are cleared up, and I'd like to see the locates too that are in those alleys, make sure that's not gonna be an issue.
Yes, ma'am.
We've requested twice to have the locates put out, and they have not gotten back to us on that.
Okay. Say the deed is probably the bigger of
Yeah,
those two.
deed is a huge issue.
But we gotta make sure that the properties are actually defined the way they're supposed to be in the deeds
Yeah.
before we close and move things.
Yeah, that was my big concern.
Yeah, so I would concur on tabling this, I guess indefinitely. Or we can just deny it right now and then they can come back to us again
That's probably the best
when
route.
things are,
Thank
that way we aren't tabling it indefinitely. When you get some
They
things,
require us to go through those all over again.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me.
For everything.
Then we can just table it so they
That
don't,
would be
yeah.
the auditor. that
That's
really-
fine. Okay.
But if it is denied,
Okay,
yes, they
let's
would
not,
have to
let's,
start the process
let's not
over.
deny it, then we'll just table it and then contact, us again when you guys have things figured out and we'll,
Well, our deed's just, our deed is different than what
mhm.
the other party says.
Right, and theirs clearly says, and has for years, that they own their lot and then part of 6. But Mr. Carter's deed says he owns all of 6, so.
But our copy is, it goes all the way back to the 18s. We've
Yes,
got-
and that's right, it does. But Mr. Carter.
gotta get him-
At this point in
Yeah.
time, his deed, the current deed of record says that he owns it all. And I know you can go back one deed and it says part of, but
Yeah, we'll have to get that figured out before we move forward.
Okay. Dylan, is he here? Legier? Krista, what can you tell us about that one? Legier's.
it's in Clarksburg. It's next to, the Legier property he owns both sides of the alley, or he owns all 3 sides of the alley. He owns all around it, so,
So it's the road to the north,
yes,
alley, and then he owns east, west, and actually
and
south
south, yes.
of it. Okay.
And I asked Lauren to make sure that he 811'd it, to make sure there was nothing in there. You know, these old phone lines or Verizon and some things like that. But he did not get back to me, but he would call the auditor.
And I don't know if he has or not, if Lauren has talked to him or not.
So we're talking
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
alley?
Yeah.
So it's to the south. This road runs east and west.
Right. And it's this one that goes from the road down. And so he owns that and that. And it looks like, I mean, do the 2 properties actually touch? Do they go corner to corner?
Man, that's simple enough.
Yeah. Because there's no other adjoining property owner on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to be here for us to do that.
No, I guess
No.
not. Just sent, everything's in order as far as requests, so,
And he owns everything around it.
yeah.
Tony, you want to see it on?
Here's,
Absolutely.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve it.
I'd second.
I'll concur. You want to say more about Lake McCoy?
Yes, so we had our first meeting concerning the Lake McCoy cleanup earlier this week. During that meeting, I was present. Councilmember Melanie Nobby, Diane Winning from the Treasurer's Office, Sean Durbin for Board of Health, Krista Duvall from Area Plan, Debbie Martin from Area Plan, Kenny from Building Commissioners, and Bev Riviera was there by phone. The basis of this meeting was basically to just kind of discuss all the complaints that we had heard and we're kind of aware of, and kind of just come up with an initialized game plan. Our number one priority, as Kenny alluded to earlier, is identifying any unsafe buildings and structures. I'm really looking at public safety, make sure that all of the buildings that are unsafe for kids to be in or for vagrants to be in and potential drug use be identified and start interacting with those homeowners. We discussed not spending a ton of time looking at trash and debris at this point. We're hopeful that by addressing the buildings and the unsafe structures that the community will get behind us then at that point and start taking care of some of the other things and cleaning those things up. We reviewed the pending lawsuit against the trailer park and its previous owner, and Kenny has a copy of that to start trying to identify if any of those discrepancies that IDHS found in the trailer park have been corrected. Once that's been done, I'm going to make contact with the property owner and advise him that we believe most of those discrepancies to still be open and needing to be taken care of, and ask him if he has a game plan or opportunity to try to take care of that. We did discuss trying to make contact just personally with the property owners out there as a first step to get their cooperation without having to do letters and certified mail on everything, and just try to get everything working forward. The next step that we kind of got into while he's out there looking is just seeing if there's any obvious signs of raw sewage being dumped out on the ground or coming from any of the homes while he's out there. After that, Sean Durbin from Board of Health is going to take current test samples of the water and test for contaminants. The last water samplings of the lake were in 2021, and they showed high numbers of E. coli then. No ammonia, but E. coli numbers were very high. So we're going to get current numbers on that and see what those are at, and then depending on what those come back from, we'll move forward from there. Sean felt like he would have those numbers back from the State Board of Health before our second meeting in July. So hopefully I'll have those numbers by then, and we can kind of make some decisions on what that is moving forward from there. We also discussed and spoke about delinquent taxes and what properties were up for tax sale, and how close anything was to commissioner sale during that meeting, and driving those lists and collecting that data so that we have that in our knowledge bank for things as we proceed forward. Our next meeting will be July 10th. We'll review those findings, kind of come up with an action plan of what we want to do, and then if there's any decisions that need to be made by the commissioners to come out of that committee, I'll bring it to the next commissioner meeting for review and vote if necessary. That is all I have.
It sounds like you might have made a little progress.
Baby steps.
That'll work in one direction. Okay, I've got some papers for us to sign. The first one's a covered bridge certification. What this is it allows the state to pay us for our covered bridge. So we just need signatures for Janet to send us back to the state. Print the top line and sign the second one. The second document is to establish the tax sale calendar. For 2023. Signatures. last document is resolution number 2023-9. It's the public health funding that the state's going to send us. It's a local resolution we have to vote to establish for the extra money coming in for the health department. Resolved this 19th day of June 2023. So probably need a motion to accept this, adopt this resolution.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll concur. The last thing I have, the highway department did a drainage project out in Waynesburg, Quail Town, back in August, September. Finished up. The total is $49,465.95. They put tile in Waynesburg and took it south down to a creek. They hired Romine Tile Service to do. Mark and I had talked to Janet about CARES Act money that was left over to be paid out of there. And this has been passed from Todd to me to Janet, and then Janet was out last week. We just need to vote to approve that. We actually approved it.
Was this because of some of the water issues that
Yes.
was going on right there?
Yeah, in Quail Town. They did some tile work up in here and then put a great big main all the way down through here. And it was more of a project than the highway department. The highway department did all this up here, but Mark and the commissioners worked that out. I don't know if it was August or September. And before Todd was on board, and Todd got handed the bill and said, "What do I do with this?" So he gave it to me, so
I'd move to go ahead and
get it paid.
Yeah.
A second.
And I'll concur, so I'll work that out with Janet. That's all I think I've got. Anybody have anything, Brian?
We got a couple other things left though.
Okay.
First, we've got Rick from Verigy. Before we get to Rick, one quick thing. We had talked about doing bids for the porta pots for the fair. Have those actually gone
Yes,
out?
they're due back in Friday
Okay.
noon.
All right. I hadn't seen them, so I just wanted to make sure that we had sent those out, since we are coming up on the fair and everything.
Yeah,
So
due back here at noon on Friday. I hand-delivered all three
okay, very good.
to the three invites.
Yep. All right. Do we want to hit Rick from Verigy now? He's down there at the bottom of your agenda.
Yes, sir. Not on the agenda. It's a topic.
Big papers.
Todd, here's those treasured stuff, so we don't get lost.
Good morning. So, we're back. We're working on getting some firm breakout pricing, but the biggest part of the whole project is really the window situation. So we're trying to kind of get at what you guys would like to do on the windows. We've got a couple options. So I want to introduce Scott Carnegie. You remember Mark Frost and your, but Scott is with our partner, design DLZ partner that we use on a lot of this kind of stuff. Scott's done quite a few county projects across the state, so, Scott, you want to go?
Sure. Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
In your packet, I'm just going to kind of turn through this and explain what you're looking at. On page 3, we'll just include a floor plan of the existing floor plan of the annex building. And in particular, what we're here today doing, and Rick touched on that, is we have different schemes and options, how to address the various window configurations of the annex. So we looked at the north elevation and the east elevation, and we have some different options that I'd like to briefly walk you through. The objective is to, for you all to maybe kind of give us some indication as to if you have a preference, so that we can further develop that and send it out with Verity and receive some preliminary pricing. So if you look on page 5, then we're first looking at the north elevation. And if you look there at the bottom, you can see just what the existing elevation looks like. And then you see the proposed north elevation, and then you'll see an enlarged elevation there with a wall section. So essentially what we're doing is, as you're fully aware, those exterior walls, they have a large expanse of windows. I'm sure they're probably original to the building, non-thermally insulated. So we're looking at ways that we can improve the thermal insulation of the exterior envelope and still provide some natural light and hopefully improve the exterior aesthetics. The one thing I want to say is, as you are aware, this is adjacent to your new sheriff's office. So a lot of the color schemes that you see on here, we're kind of trying to emulate exactly cohesive. But you can see there on page 5, that's north elevation 1. For what's being proposed is to take out the large expanse window wall, infill a portion of it with metal stud insulation, that what we refer to as EFIS, E-F-I-S, stands for Exterior Finish Insulation System, and then still keep some of the windows in the doors for some natural light. And then if you turn to page 6, that's another option for the north elevation, option 2. And it's very similar to the previous elevation N1 with the exception of we're starting to introduce some columns, some pier where they stick out just a couple of inches. Because as you're aware, those elevations are it's a very long and low profile building. So if we can introduce just some pilasters that were built up to keep us and begin to introduce some vertical elements, we believe that would improve the appearance of that. If you look at N3A, the reason we have an A is because we kind of have a variation of that. But you'll see there on N3A, we get rid of the individual window punched openings and relying more on the clear story, a high pipe window with the exception of the storefront door and window that's currently there. We would just keep it, replace it with new storefront at those openings. And then if you look at 3B, it's really kind of a hybrid between option 2 and 3A. So again, you have only the clear story along the top with the exception of the storefront door and openings into each individual departments. But it also then incorporates the vertical element where we'll just build out a little bit and begin to introduce some pilasters along that elevation. The one thing I will point out is option 3A, the clear story windows are roughly 1'10" tall. And in option 3B, the clear story windows are a little bit taller. So we're introducing a little more natural light into those spaces at 3 feet tall. Beginning on page 10, now we're looking at the east elevation. So it's the same schemes for each of the elevations that we're just repeating. We wanted to show you what it would look like on the east elevation. So on page 10, elevation E1, again, replacing the majority of the large expanse of existing window wall with metal framing and EFIS and insulation. You can see that we're introducing there's some vertical punched opening windows in addition to the clear story, and that is very similar to the north elevation scheme. Option E2 on page 11. You can see that we're beginning to introduce the pilaster concept again. Building up a little more EFIS, hopefully get that long linear elevation. Then on page 12, that's option 3A. And now we've gotten rid of all of the punched openings down to the lower level. And gone strictly with clear story window, approximately 1'2" tall. then on option 3B, and this is again just kind of a hybrid between 3A and option 2, where we again just have the clear story across the top. It's a little bit taller, 3 feet. And we'd also then incorporate the pilasters that break it that long delivery. So those are the different options. We developed 4 different options. Showed you what they look like and what the north and the east elevation. Again, the concept is to complement the sheriff's office and jail right next door. And then we would obviously repair some of the key facilities currently on the annex, would be part of the scope as well to repair some of that.
So a lot to digest, but I think what we're really trying to do is hone in on a particular style / type, so we can get some pricing. You got a unique building up there, the fact that, you've got a couple different things. Currently, you've got the long window walls of the old stuff, and then you've got a couple places where you've done the kind of wall about 3/4 of the way up the wall. Less light, but, a lot more efficient, and probably from a cost perspective, less windows is going to be.
If I was predicting, I think option 3A is cost-effective option of the 4. The reason I say that, clear story windows are not quite as tall. They're about 1'10" as opposed to 3 feet. And we're not adding the additional ethos to build up implied pilasters. So it's relatively flat.
And those don't have any function, those are purely aesthetic for the vertical features.
Correct, that is correct.
Just to break up the straight line of the side of the building to add a little bit of a physical characteristic. Okay.
Just a very long, linear, low building.
Yep.
We just want to use it very well.
Gotcha.
I want to add too, there's a lot of window coverings in there. Right now, they try to block off the windows from inside from a solar heat standpoint. In the summer, as well as in the winter, it's drafty through there. So I don't think, talking to the occupants, that there's an abundance of light right now. I think it'd be okay to drop it down, but to just a clear story.
Yeah, I like the 3A as far as looks and efficiency on heating and cooling.
We also thought leaving the doorways with a little bit of storefront around it allows for some identification of departments at the doors.
But you don't do that in 3A.
Yeah, 3A still has the punch storefront openings.
Because that seems like that works for you guys, having the separate entrances for the separate departments, rather than trying to go all through the front.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the departments I talked to, they like their doors.
It's easy.
I kind of talked to probation over there about windows. They kind of like the idea of being able to see out into the parking lot from their windows. They can kind of catch the demeanor of the people coming in and being able to see. So in some of those instances, I think the north one is a decent option, and kind of maybe pick and choose just a little bit on some of that. Because some of those offices, being able to see people come in and pull up and catch some of that would be valuable in my mind. I don't think it has to be a ton of those windows, but to be able to see out without having to stand up would be.
So there may be some departments would like to have a lower window.
Yeah, in some areas.
Do there need to be, and you don't have here for the south end of the building where like work release is marked in the diagram, are there any considerations that we need to put into place, maybe Sheriff, as far as windows and other things like that?
That means our work release.
Okay,
Some issues there.
okay.
I have a question.
I didn't think so, but
That's the old work release.
Right. yeah.
Yeah, it's a
and
classroom now.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And the work release facility that you were talking about before actually is housed in the jail.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Have you talked with the fire department to see if any of those windows need to be egress?
We have not, but
You might want to do that. I'm not sure if that's required in that situation. But the small window wouldn't be big enough for an egress.
They're not operable windows right now.
Okay.
You know, and there's a door in every space, so, I don't think it will be a code issue at all. We would address that as a code issue.
I think that might be something the fire department might be.
Yeah, I think like all of your interior walls that go into the courtyard, they could just have the high windows. What you're looking at's another wall, so that could be space saving area to do those. I think some of our north and south offices could have those windows we were seeing out.
so other than meeting, I think, meeting with individual departments to talk about views. Is there, I think I heard somebody suggest that they can have 3A, addition of potentially punched openings for views from individual departments.
I'm in agreement. I like the 3A with an extra window and an exterior north-south here or there that has value to see into the parking lots.
I understand that, but as far as efficiency for putting together this project, I don't like the idea of going department to department. What exterior do you like? What exterior do you like? I'd prefer it to be more uniform. And I mean, I understand the preference to be able to, gauge somebody coming into probation. I deal with those people every single day.
There's the windows around the doors also.
Yeah.
That can see that. And the door is glass.
They can see out in the parking lot, but they're not coming in those doors, they're
Right.
coming in this.
Yeah.
Coming in the front.
So
Yeah.
my preference would be to have a uniform exterior on the building.
I would agree.
I think this is your chance to get more homogeneous or,
Yeah.
consistent with this thing versus this hodgepodge.
Yeah.
It's your project, but that would seem to make more sense.
Yeah, I'd lean towards 3A as well. I mean, it's a smaller window, but there's still a lot of windows there.
It's more in line with what was already done at the 911 center.
Yeah, but I think dispatch 911 center had a special purpose for those windows being as high as they were.
Yeah.
I mean, those were more security and that walls were built different in my mind. And I'm not an office worker, so I mean, not being able to see outside and not having, I mean, just the lighting isn't the same as being able to see. And I know the effects of that has on people in general, rates of depression in the winter, blah, 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 when you get into that stuff. So in my mind, having windows you can actually see outside, it makes a difference in a person's happiness when they're at work, in my mind.
So, if I'm reading this correctly, 3B, the windows are larger. Bottom of the window to the floor is, call it 4'10". Is that right?
Correct.
whereas on 3A, it's 7 foot bottom of the window to floor.
So you can stand up and see outside. I mean, think about
In
taking
3D.
everything and putting a 1-foot window at the top of the wall. I mean, you're never seeing outside anywhere. Now you can get up and go to the bathroom, do whatever, and still be able to see outside. And like I said, for me, that has value to be able to see
Maybe take the
outside.
windows from 3B, leave out the vertical features that you were talking about, having a slightly larger window in the 3A option.
Scott, the vertical features, that's probably not that expensive, really.
It's just layering up additional
Yeah,
ethos.
it's not very expensive if you want a little better look. So, it's the windows that's the most expensive.
Sure.
Increase the size.
Put the 3B windows in the 3.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get more light, and you're gonna affect some of the concerns that Tony was talking about with being able to see out.
Windows in the 3A.
Yeah.
I like that.
Still flat, and we increase the height of the.
I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone
You have
might
a
have
great
to get on
functional
still.
building, it's good
Mhm.
to get it up to speed and stuff. I mean, a lot of old schools are white elephants, and this one's used very functionally with all those entrances and stuff, it's very nice. So it's good to maintain it for the long haul.
And then the cost savings is going to be tremendous in the long run.
Right now, the sheriff's probably happy because you're heating and cooling his building with all the drafts. That's going out of the annex building.
So we will take the 3B window, the taller two-story, put that into the
3A.
concept. We'll develop all of the exterior elevations.
Yeah, we'll get pricing back to you guys.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
Quickest we've been to one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Yep. Thank you, gentlemen. Pretty cool. Thank you. Do you want this or? Okay.
Starting
I'm starting
to
to
hand to me.
if you don't mind giving you one real quick. I found the funds for the election cage, so I went ahead and opened before. They're starting fabrication, and then they're expecting to install mid-August. So we'll have to figure out a way to get all of those files moved and everything.
Give me a date when you get there, and I'll get Jake and round up some help to help that stuff move. Or you're documenting some of that stuff, so, or copying, whatever, digitizing, so that some of it can just be gone. Is that?
So, we've hit a snag with that. We found out that our current Odyssey system will not let us scan old files into their system. No, we never knew that. So we're now looking into a system that will let us do that, which I believe is called DocuWare. The 40 office uses that now, but it costs. It's like a cloud-based system. It's the only way for us to be able to scan all these old files and get rid of them. So CSI, I've already sent a termination letter. We always used CSI, was our old system that we were paying like $4,000 a year for, so we will no longer need that after this year. But then I may need some funds like instead to pay for this. I'm doing a webinar Wednesday to learn more about this and to find out how many licenses we need and what we'll have to pay. We're hoping to be able to go off of 40, what they've already paid for the initial license, but they're checking into that and they're supposed to get back with me and let me know on that.
What are the legalities of doing like a hardware storage local scanning.
Well, I
It's
checked with
like a
IT and it
server room.
doesn't, I don't think that's an option. DocuWare sounds like it's the best. I reached out to every county clerk in the state, and this is pretty much what they all use as well. So they did run into, there's a couple of counties that didn't know either, and they already scanned all their old files into Odyssey, and it created a huge problem because it makes it look like you have all new cases, and their caseload looked, it expanded greatly, not realizing that we're just opening old files. So we're gonna have to switch to this at some point, sooner rather than later, hopefully. And they do also say they offer the scanning to do, but I'm sure that's at a cost as well, so we're just gonna kind of wait and see what we can get, how much it's gonna cost, and go from there, so.
I know Shelby County has a wonderful couple that comes in and does scanning almost every single day during the week. I don't know, because they're going back and.
I have interns right now doing that.
Okay.
So
Because
that's why.
they're scanning stuff from,
Yeah.
the paper is,
Well, and they also offer an option where they can offer it to the public, so the public
Okay.
has access to it as well.
Yeah.
So that's something else will be great.
that'd
So,
be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking into that, but we do have sliding shelves in our office that have housed all these old files upstairs. And those are almost gone now. They're almost all shredded. And I don't know if your county guys can remove those by any chance?
Yeah, just
Okay.
let me know when. And
Okay.
so does that
Maybe
need to
around
go
our-
to a shredder,
That's what I was gonna say.
or it's already been shredded?
Files they were recently done at the June 10th shredding date. We will have some more for the August date, but they will be downstairs. So basically, we've been doing all the files upstairs first. So all these sliding shelves are empty and bare, taking up a lot of wall space.
So you need those,
The shelves.
the shelves removed. Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. I'm thinking
Yeah, we're
files.
taking care of the files. We worked with Patty on that. She got that all set up, so it was great for that to get rid of those. We have a lot that are already gone. But we have
So
a lot right
they're
now.
fastened to the wall, I'm assuming? I mean, probably need to
They're
come out and
fastened
take a
to the
look.
floor.
Okay.
So that's another thing, is once the floor comes up, there's no carpet under there. So I'll probably have to see if Levinstein's can maybe just splice in something to match.
Okay, I'll try to
But
get
we
up there
would
and
have
take a
so
look.
much more storage space on the wall if we can get rid of this. They're in the back room in the office.
Okay, I'll take
And
it.
then just one other thing, we've kind of been coming up with, today being a federal holiday. Now that most surrounding county offices are all closed, the bank is closed, we are required to do deposits daily for child support because the checks go out the next morning. So we're not able to make our deposits, and then coming next year when we're in the invest with the new system, it's required. It has to be deposited the day you take the money by a certain time. So that's kind of a snag for us. I don't know if we want to be able to take payments if we're still going to be open. There's no mail. We send out certified mail. Passports are required to go out the day you take them. So it's kind of limited on what we can do now that it's a federal holiday.
Duplicate files.
Well, we can only do so many until we get this new system. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up when you're deciding on that for next year.
So,
It is becoming kind of an issue
so there might be something that would actually require us to.
on the holiday schedule. Yeah. It's just a thought that it is hitting a snag that we are limited when we're open. It's federal holiday. There's a lot of things we can't do.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, Dan.
Anyone else?
Anything just mentioned?
You had 20 minutes earlier.
Just to mention that the asphalt bids are due in on next meeting by the 3rd, by 8:30.
Gary? Just come to visit?
Brian really wants to.
He wants to talk.
Just do it? Yeah.
Go ahead.
You got a quick 40 minutes here. No, I'll just say, the biggest thing for us is the Ready 2.0 is coming around the bend there. I'm going to South Bend on Thursday to find a little bit more about it, where the IEDC sits. Everything I've heard this round will go even faster than last one, so I would say Mark's been working with us in the past, but if there are certain projects that the county wants to be addressed, we do have some that are left over from Ready One. Lake McCoy was one of them, funds for Lake McCoy. Be talking to Mark, or whoever, I assume Mark's gonna still be the rep on the steering committee, but maybe you guys talk about that. But be thinking about projects in the county that might have a big impact, not only in the county, from a regional standpoint, from housing, from quality of life issues and that. We plan to be as competitive as possible. I have no idea when the match is gonna be locally or from the private. Previously, it was a 4-to-1 match, where 1-to-1 match with ready funds from the public side, and then private was 3-to-1 match. The private has to raise 3 to 1. We don't know what that's going to be like this year, but we'll kind of take a look at that. We'll have more in the future, but once they announce it, everything I've heard is going to be a 2-month kind of turnover. So keep that in mind.
Erica, did you have something you're
No, I was
just?
just
Yeah, she's really good.
If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to recess.
So moved.
Second.